Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we're now on the road to 300 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. If you love sports news, sports betting, special segments, daily uploads, updated rankings every single week, my reactions, anything at all, it's all right here on the Talk of the Town podcast. So I promise you, your subscription will be well worth it and much, much appreciated. And speaking of special segments here today, and sports betting, we have slips for Sundays here on the YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with it, every Friday I do this segment, and I give you guys my 3 favorite games to bet on. I also give you guys some parlays for those games as well. I also give you guys 3 games to avoid betting on this weekend, which I'm actually not going to do this week because I really feel like there's no game I'd avoid betting on this weekend. So if you're over 21 or you are 21 and you have any games that you're going to avoid betting on this week, make sure to leave it down in the comments and leave why you're going to do so. I'd be curious. And at the end of Slips for Sundays, I give you guys a crazy bet as well. So if you're feeling lucky, you feel like you're going to win big this week, I feel like this is your best chance to do so by giving you guys my crazy bet. So make sure to stay tuned for that at the end of the video. But first, we're going to react to the Eagles versus Giants Monday night football or Thursday night football game here real quick. What a game last night. I mentioned in yesterday's video that the Eagles needed to fix their offense and that this game is more important than what people thought it would be. And yeah, I guess a lot of people thought the Eagles would kind of come in, steamroll the Giants real quick, get back on track, but they did not do so. The Giants came through, continuing a trend from last weekend, which was full of a bunch of upsets, including my Patriots on prime time against the Bills. Well, this continues with the primetime upsets as well here on Thursday Night Football. The Giants 34-17. Jackson Dart is now 2-1 to start off his career. Cam Scadaboo is getting better every single week he plays. And he had a hell of a game last night as well. 3 touchdowns, almost 100 yards. He had like 98 yards, I think, or something like that. What a game. Jackson Dart, though, went down, got kind of scary. One of the more infamous moments from that game is Brian Daboll. Looks like he was going over to I don't even know who that was. I think it was like the team doctor or something. And Russell Wilson threw that horrendous fall and, yeah, drove Daboll through the roof. He's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. He's sitting there screaming on the sideline and all. That whoever the hell that was looked like someone in the medical personnel. But you know, here's the thing with Daboll in that situation, which is what I was thinking. Is like, dude, if you really don't like Russell Wilson that much and you think he's that bad, you have by far and away the best third-string quarterback in the league, which is Jameis Winston, which on most teams, he would clearly be the backup one. But on your team, he's the third string, which I think he's way better than Russell Wilson at this point. I argued at the beginning of the season, Jameis should have been the starter, but, you know, obviously that didn't happen, so none of that matters now. But Jameis should be by far and away the backup quarterback on this team. I mean, Russell Wilson, I made a video about him the other day on Wednesday. Someone asked me whether or not he's still a Hall of Famer. And that question arose again last night. Is like, this guy's literally playing himself out of the Hall of Fame. For one, I still don't think so. You know what's going to happen when Russell Wilson retires is the NFL, everywhere you look, they're not going to be posting his Giants highlights, his Broncos highlights, his Steelers highlights, which aren't many of them. But, I mean, there's highlights there. He did have like almost a 500-yard game passing a couple weeks ago, which is kind of crazy to think of, especially after seeing that throw last night. But they're going to play clips of them with a Legion of Boom, 2015, 2020 Russell Wilson, 2019. And you know what? Everyone's going to say, hey, damn, I'm looking at this now. This guy should be in the Hall of Fame. That's what's going to happen to Russell Wilson. It's not going to be people, you know what? We are going to talk about how fast he fell off. No one's denying that. That's going to be one of the parts of his careers. But it's not going to Russell Wilson, regardless, was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He just isn't. He wasn't going to be, regardless whether or not it was this stretch or not, unless he won another Super Bowl or two with Seattle or with Denver or whoever. But I don't think this necessarily hurts his chances of getting in. He was never a first ballot Hall of Famer anyway. Especially with how jam-packed this Hall of Fame is getting. That just wasn't going to happen for Russell Wilson. I talked about that more on Wednesday, on Wednesday. So if you want to check that out, make sure to give that a look. But I'm only bringing that up because now it's being mentioned even more after that really bad play there from Wilson. And it's just, I thought it was funny. Daboll's going crazy. And I was just like, dude, put Jameis Winston in the game. It's not like you don't have any other quarterback. Like, Jameis Winston is way better than Russell Wilson is. I don't know why you just don't stick him in the game if you don't like him that much. I thought that was pretty funny. The culture, the Giants' culture is really changing. Something we have not said in a long time is the Giants' future is looking bright right now with Jackson Dart, Scattaboo, Malik Neighbors when he does come back. And mind you, they didn't have Neighbors or Slayton last night, so that was a really tough win. And it's not like, it was a kind of an ugly win, 17-14. I mean, 34-17 is a considerable amount to win by. That's a pretty comfortable win right there, especially for the New York Giants, going against a divisional opponent, which I say this all the time. I preach this on the channel. Divisional games are extremely weird. Anything can happen. The 49ers and Rams game last Thursday, I said, you know what, dude, it's a primetime game. Even though the 49ers are really injured, which I did take the Rams to win that game, and they ultimately didn't end up winning. But the 49ers, if there's any time for your team to be as injured as they are, like your entire receiving crew being out, your starting tight end, your starting quarterback, it would be against a divisional opponent. You've seen this team twice a year, every single year, so you have a better chance of winning that game. So I said about the Giants. Like, no game ever, no matter whether or not you're going across the country to play some team you see once every 4 years or not, or whoever. Divisional games especially are not games you can sleep on. I do not like betting on divisional games, to be completely honest with you. I really don't. It depends. Actually, one of my favorite games to bet on is a divisional game, but that has some circumstances behind it. But divisional games are always kind of strange. So that's why I kind of tend sometimes to be hesitant on who I pick to win that game, because it kind of had upset written all over it. The Giants the Eagles with very negative momentum moving into this game. The offense is a mess right now. The offensive line cannot seem to get right at all right now currently. Nick Sirianni, remember this time last year? This gives me very much vibes from last season. This team had a very slow start, and people were talking Nick Sirianni's job being on the line. Nick Sirianni right now, not really any talks of him being on the hot seat, but this team keeps playing like they are. You're going to see the Sirianni hot seat takes. They're going to start climbing up the ladder. People want to talk about that more. The more and more they lose, and the more this offense can't get right. Because I get your offensive line is not necessarily playing the best right now. And the Eagles are very used to having dominant offensive line play the last few years. But right now, like I mentioned, they're not playing the best. They do have some injuries within that unit. But you still had A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts is healthy. Saquon Barkley's healthy. Like, there's no reason this offense should be just as bad as they are. And I think it just stems from coaching. And this is one of the things that I do not understand what the Ravens are currently doing as well, is that on their defense, their defensive coordinator had no coordinating experience before he was a defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Teams in Super Bowl windows hiring kind of guys that have to build their experience as they go along is a terrible idea. And that's what I'm seeing right now with Kevin Patullo in the offense. First-time offensive coordinator. Well, what's it doing? Their offense just kind of looks like crap, to be completely honest with you. It looks like shit. So, and that's what I'm saying is I don't know why these teams in Super Bowl windows are kind of hiring experimental coordinators. Like, we have to build this guy up, give him some experience. Like, no. And the Eagles hired Vic Fangio, which I thought was a great hire, because we obviously know he's already experienced, head coaching experience for one as well. Came in, coached the defense up, turned that team around, and that defense was playing historically good last year. Ended up winning them the Super Bowl. That's how good their defense was. Well, Kellen Moore gives me vibes from last season. Kellen Moore was already experienced with the Cowboys and everything like that. You already had an experienced offensive coordinator. They ended up turning the ship around. I don't quite feel the same way with the Eagles. Now, I get the Eagles are 4-2. I mean, it's not like they're 2-4, but they could easily be 2-4. If they don't come back on that game from the Rams, which they did end up having a really good performance, they're at least 3-3. The Buccaneers, they almost blew the game to the Bucs. That can be 2-4 right then and there. So this team, even though they're 4-2, it's not a very good feeling 4-2 right now. So Eagles definitely got some things to fix. The Giants, Russell Wilson, I think, should move to third string. Daboll, I'm still very hesitant to call Daboll a good coach. I think Jackson Dart really came in and kind of revived this team, to be honest with you. A team that was dead with no pulse. Jackson Dart came in and revived him. There's no doubt about that. He's played very good. That his first 3 starts, he's 2-1. The future is bright for the New York Giants. They played a very good game yesterday, even barring the injuries they had. So, Giants fans, it's looking good for you guys right now, man. And the Eagles, though, Eagles should be fine. I think they'll make the playoffs, but you guys have absolutely got to turn that offense around and fast, the Philadelphia Eagles, too, because there are some issues there, my friend. So let's move into slips for Sundays here. I got my 3 favorite bets. We're going to go over these. I'm going to start off with the Bengals versus the Packers. It's funnily enough, Joe Flacco's last 3 starts, 2 of them are against the Green Bay Packers in the last 3 weeks. With the Cleveland a few weeks ago, when they upset the Packers, and now going against the Packers again on the Bengals this time. I would have never have guessed that. But I'm going to put that bet slip here up on screen. I got Chase Brown under 44.5 rushing yards. Jamar Chase, 60-plus receiving yards. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown scorer. And Jordan Love, 230-plus passing yards as well heading into this game. One thing we know with the Bengals is their defense stinks, and it's getting worse throughout every week now, again, like it's been getting. Again, one of my reasons is Joe Flacco just landed in Cincinnati. And you think that, you know what, well, you're taking the Chase Brown under the 44.5 rushing yards. You figure Joe Flacco just landing there, they're probably going to run the ball even more. Well, here's a statistic with the Bengals rushing offense. They're number 32 in rushing yards per game. Rush attempts per game, they're number 32. No, they're number 31 in yards per rush and number 32 in rush play percentage. So they're literally last in the league in pretty much every single rushing statistic. This team's not going to want to run the ball. And so Zach Taylor's desperate for his job. And a Green Bay Packers defense that is number 2 in the league in rush defense as well. Chase Brown is not going to be able to do anything at all, and they're not going to give him the ball either. You get Joe Flacco for one reason, and that's to make Jamar Chase happy and to try to think, you know what, hey, we're going to come in, and this offense is going to look better, and they probably will under Flacco. Flacco is a seasoned vet. Even though he's not very good anymore, he hasn't been good for a long time, really. He had that comeback off the couch with the Cleveland Browns a few years ago, but besides that, Flacco really hasn't done anything in a long time, so I think the Bengals' pass attack will be better, but Chase Brown isn't going to get anything going on the ground. That's why I have him under 44.5. You heard all those stats there. I feel comfortable with that. Jamar Chase, 60-plus receiving yards. You remember when Joe Flacco a few years ago had Amari Cooper, how much he threw the ball to Amari Cooper what felt like 30 times a game. Amari Cooper had a 240-yard game or something like that. Or maybe it wasn't that much, but he had well over 200 yards receiving. He's going to love absolutely just, no matter what it is, just throwing it, whether it's in double, triple coverage to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jamar Chase, I'm sure, is happy to see Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is a gunslinger. I don't even really think he cares about throwing picks. He is just going to want to give that ball in there to Jamar Chase, and he will find any excuse to throw that ball into Jamar Chase. So I think Jamar Chase fantasy owners are definitely on the rejoice as well, even though the Bengals' offensive line is very shaky. So Flacco's not going to have a lot of time to throw. So he's going to get that ball out quick, and a lot of it is going to be to Chase. He's probably not even going to think. He's just going to say, hey, let's throw a Pryor up here and hope Jamar Chase catches this football. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown scorer. The Bengals' rushing defense is not very good, and they love giving the ball to Josh Jacobs in the red zone. So feel comfortable with that. And Jordan Love, 230-plus passing yards. The Bengals' defense has been getting progressively worse every single week, and I think Jordan Love is absolutely going to carve this defense alive here, especially coming off the bye week. So fresh game for the Packers coming off the bye week. The Bengals with a quarterback they've had less than a week coming in to play for him here. Kind of has Packers win written all over it. Pretty dominant Packers win. Add that. Maybe not dominant, but a Packers win written on it and a good Packers game. So feel comfortable with that there. My second favorite game to bet on here is the LA Rams at the Baltimore Ravens. Let me just pull this up here. I've got the Rams money line. I think the Rams are going to blow out the Baltimore Ravens here on Sunday. The Ravens are a mess of a team right now. John Harbaugh's not taking any responsibility for anything that's happening. Zach Gore, the same thing. They're just not taking any sort of responsibility, which in terms, they're going to run. And what they've been doing is running the same game plan, game in, game out, and their defense has been getting freaking lit alive. But the Houston Texans offense, which CJ Stroud said a few weeks ago, which alarmed a lot of Texans fans and just people in the NFL in general, he said, I feel like I've lost a step, or somewhere in those lines. Like, I feel slower. I don't feel quite as fast as I used to. I feel like I'm getting old. Like, bro, you're 23 years old. I'm going to be 22 in 2 months. Like, you're a year older than I am. I sure as hell hope I don't feel that way in a year. If he really feels that drastic of a change, I hope I don't feel that way. That scares me a little bit. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to feel that way. But him, dude, you're a professional athlete and in tip-top shape. Like, you should not feel that way. And like a couple days later, he goes out and just carves the Ravens defense. I think anyone could go out there and carve that Ravens defense alive right now. So I had the Rams winning that game comfortably. Devontae Adams, 80+. Him and Puka Nacua are going to be everywhere on that field on Sunday. I don't know who's going to have more receiving yards, but those two, I think, are going to have over 100 receiving yards each. That secondary is, I mean, they went out and signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That was a debacle in the Houston Texans, funnily enough. And that whole thing is just, I don't know what's going on with the Ravens, but it's getting ugly in the organization as things are progressively getting worse. And the thing is that they stick with the same game plan every single week. So it's going to be the same result. The Ravens are going to get carved alive by Matthew Stafford and the Rams offense. And one of them is going to be Devontae Adams, 80+ receiving yards, especially on the second string cornerback for the Ravens, who I don't even know who it is anymore. I think they're benching Malachi Starks, I've heard. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell is going on. And Matt Stafford, 250+ feels like a lock. I don't think I have to go much into that. The Ravens defense ranks last in pretty much almost every single statistical category there is. Pretty much they rank last, and especially in pass defense. Their pass defense is egregious. It is just terrible. So I'm not trying to sound like I'm packing the Ravens or anything, but their defense is just a mess, and they just get passed on like it's no tomorrow. So this, to me, feels like one of those bets, man, I just feel very, very comfortable with here. I think Matt Stafford is just going to carve alive the Ravens. And look at the money line, it's like, well, there's nothing for the Ravens. Well, I don't trust any unit of the Ravens. I put Derrick Henry. He was the only leg that didn't hit on my parlay last week I gave you guys. For 50+ yards? I feel like he should have just they should have just handed him off the ball. And I think he handed off for like 28 yards or something. So it just was a mess. I don't trust any unit of the Ravens. I don't trust special teams. I don't trust defense. I don't trust offense. I'm just avoiding betting on the Ravens altogether. But betting against them is some of my favorite bets of the year. And the last game that I'm going to give you guys my bet slip for is the Browns versus the Steelers. I know I mentioned a little bit ago in my video that, I try to avoid betting on divisional games. But this game right here, I'm going to give you guys some of my reasons why. I'm going to put the bet slip on the screen as well. I got Aaron Rodgers, 160+ passing yards. I know the Cleveland defense has played very well. They did just trade. Who did they just trade to the Jags? It wasn't Emerson. I think maybe it was Emerson. It was one of their best corners. They ended up trading him. And so I feel comfortable with Aaron Rodgers, 160+ passing yards. He's averaging 200 a game. But Aaron Rodgers, their running game is like non-existent. It's very up and down with him. But I feel like a divisional game, which usually in terms of has players playing worse, I actually feel like it's going to be the opposite here with the Steelers. Because for one, the Steelers, Tomlin's 14-4 after a bye week. He's on an 8-game current winning streak after a bye. He's also 26-6 facing rookie QBs in his career. Dylan Gabriel's second start ever as a pro. So I feel like the Browns are going to be very rattled this game. Mike Tomlin kind of seems to have the formula coming out of the bye week and also going against rookie quarterbacks. He has both. So, the Steelers should feel good about that. 160+ passing yards for Aaron Rodgers. He's going to get that ball out quick, especially with a pretty good Cleveland pass rush as well. 2+ receptions for Freiermuth. He's averaging 1.7, but as I mentioned, he's going to want to get that ball out quick. That Cleveland Browns pass rush is actually pretty good. So I think he's going to be looking a lot more for his tight ends. And I think that in terms will lead to 2+ receptions for Freiermuth, 25+ receiving yards for David Njoku. You're going to see a lot of David Njoku that game. I feel like I almost kind of wanted to go a little more on David Njoku because Dylan Gabriel's going to want to get that ball out quick. As I mentioned, Tomlin seems to have the formula for rookie quarterbacks and coming out of the bye week. Well, he has both. So I think Gabriel is going to want to get this ball out quick. To, as I mentioned, security blankets, Cooper Rush. Last week, one of my legs there hit on Cooper Rush to Mark Andrews. These guys are going to love their security blanket tight ends, getting that ball out quick, and Njoku's going to be there. He's one of the better tight ends in the league as well. And finally, I got DK Metcalf, 50+ receiving yards. Aaron Rodgers and DK seem to hit on a big play every game, especially in the red zone. That I love. I've loved betting on DK Metcalf all year, and all of his legs have hit for me. So just feel comfortable with that. I do like DK Metcalf 50+ yards there. The Browns defense is kind of getting banged up as well here heading into week 6. So there's that. There's my 3 favorite games to bet on here this week. Let me give you guys my crazy bet right here on screen. Right now, Geno Smith, 9 interceptions in 5 games. If he breaks that streak this game on this leg, I'm not going to be happy. That seems kind of like a lock there. And the Tennessee Titans defense has actually been pretty good. So they forced some turnovers. They get some good pressure on the quarterback. And Geno Smith under pressure is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So I feel like you should throw a pick, keep the streak alive. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown score, had that in my parlay for the Bengals and Packers. Upset alert with the Dolphins and Chargers. I feel like the Dolphins are going to win that game. The Chargers are collapsing right now. And the Dolphins, even though they've lost, have been very competitive, kind of like the Saints. So I feel actually pretty good with that. They're missing Khalil Mack still. If they can't get any pressure on Tua, I feel like Tua could carve them alive. So upset alert there. Going to keep the upset streak alive here throughout the first couple of weeks. Or throughout the last couple of weeks, should I say, this week, and also starting the upset last night as well. I'm going to keep the streak alive. I think the Dolphins are going to upset the Chargers. Javonte Williams has been a freaking beast in the red zone for the Cowboys as well. Going against the Panthers, who their defensive line gets carved up by running backs. So feel comfortable with that. 230+ against the Cardinals for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been one of the best passing quarterbacks in the entire league so far this year. So there goes that for Danny Dimes. And then the LA Rams money line, which I feel like that is, I don't ever use the word guarantee in sports betting, but that almost feels like a friggin' lock right there, man. The Ravens are a mess, as I mentioned before. So that's my crazy bet. That's it for Slips for Sundays today. No games to avoid. We went over the Eagles and Giants Thursday night football game. And yeah, man. So if you guys do put down any of these slips, make sure to let me know in the comments. And here's to a great week of NFL football here on Sunday as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Slips for Sundays. I'll see you guys on Monday. Everyone, take it easy.